Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is May 14, 2024, and we are getting into the volume 207 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention, as I mentioned in every video on this channel, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first question comment from Jaya 5647. Hi, my wife, green card holder. She's from Colombia. She applied for me green card. I am from India. So my question is, they consider which country quota? I'm assuming quota. So Jaya, thank you for the question. Yes, so because your wife is a permanent resident, whenever it is a permanent resident petitioning for spouse, unfortunately, yes, you are dealing with the backlog. So yes, the country quota that you're referring to, it does apply to you. And you're from India. India has a separate chargeability area. So let's take a look at the visa bulletin and see what's going on. I'm pretty sure it's current with the rest of the world, but I want to double check. Yes, it is. So as you can see, F2A category, this is your category, F2A. People in F2A are children and spouses of permanent residents. And you're a spouse of permanent resident. So you're from India, so India chargeability area, but as you can see, it is the same, 15 November 21, with the rest of the world, 15 November 21. It's definitely good news. It means that India is not experiencing any additional backlog as a country that has a separate chargeability area. That's definitely good news, because sometimes in some of the categories, some of the countries that have a separate chargeability area, they have significantly more backlog than the rest of the world. So for you, definitely it's good news. So depending on when your wife petitioned for you, the date that is shown on the very first receipt that she received from USCIS in response to her submitting I-130, that is your priority date. So as of right now, well, we are still in May, but this is for June, visa bulletin for June 2024. As you can see, as of June 2024, people with priority dates back in November 2021, that is, they are just now, their immigrant visas are just now becoming available, which means there is roughly about 3 years of a backlog. Roughly, because right now we're June 2024, and this goes back to November 2021, so less than 3 years, like 2.5 years roughly, of the backlog. So let's say if your wife petitioned for you a year ago, you still have about 1.5 years of the backlog before your priority date becomes current, roughly. After your immigrant visa becomes available, there is also time before your interview is scheduled. And for different countries, depending on how busy the US Embassy is in that particular country, it can be a year, it can be 1.5 years, it can be 2 years. I know for India, so the embassy, I believe it is in Mumbai, but let me double check. I'm very bad with geography, so let's see where US Embassy is in India. I'm pretty sure there's got to be multiple ones. But let's see, India, there you go. Yeah, so there's an embassy in New Delhi, there's in Chennai, in Hyderabad, in Kolkata, and there is a consulate general in Mumbai. So yeah, there's quite a few of them. So depending on where you are located in India, depending on which US Embassy or a consulate is closer to you, that does the interviews for the immigrant visa, they're going to be scheduling the interview there. But again, you got to be paying attention to the visa bulletin, and once you're current from then on, then you can kind of estimate how long you have left before the interview is scheduled. All right, so let me post a response, and we're going to move on to the next one from Kamal Preet 4285. Hi, my sister filed brother-sister category for F4 for India, and the applied date is December 2009, and the case was approved in February 2010. When can I expect for the interview? All right, let's take a look at the visa bulletin once again. F4, again, we're looking at the India chargeability area. It is, as you can see, I was mentioning earlier, India on the F4 is behind the rest of the world, and looks like it's behind by about, so it's January 2006, and the rest of the world is July 2007. So it's like 6 months roughly. So January 2006 we are looking at, and you are in December 2009. So I'm pretty sure your MVC portal has not opened up yet. So I'm pretty sure you're referring to, whenever you're talking about your case being approved, you're referring to your case being approved by USCIS. So that means that your case is approved by USCIS. It has been transferred to the NVC, and you still have some time. As you can see on the graph B, it is on June 2006. So it might not be updated. Graph B does not update as fast as the graph A, because graph B is a secondary to the whole backlog whenever it comes to the backlog, because it depends on the graph A, the availability of the immigrant visa. Depending on when that happens, they open up the NVC portal, usually about 6 months to a year before the availability of the immigrant visa. So sometimes when we look at the graph B, it is not as updated, especially if there was a recent update on the graph A. So just keep that in mind. But if your priority date in December 2009, almost January 2010, if we look at this right here, the graph A, availability of the immigrant visa, January 2006, roughly you still have about 4 more years. So I would say at least 3 more years before the NVC portal opens up, so you can start your documentary qualification process, which is going to be the next big step in your case, is to become documentarily qualified, as part of which the petitioner has to qualify as a successful sponsor and to establish the relationship once again through all of the I mean, it's going to be easy because you're F4, so pretty straightforward. It's just some birth certificates showing that, you know, it's really a brother sister, it's really a sibling relationship, which is not a problem at all. The biggest, most of the times, people that are having issue, and I'm talking from the personal experience, is documentarily qualifying as a successful sponsor. So showing the financial, showing that the petitioner is making enough income to sponsor you as a beneficiary. So it's a little early to prepare for that. Like I said, roughly another 3-4 years, 3.5 years more like it, before the NVC portal opens up. So I would say give it another 2 years, 2.5 years, and then start preparing for the documentary qualification. All right, let me post a response here, and we're gonna move on to the next one. From Angelica Garay 1805. But what about applying for assistance to help pay the fees? Great question. So yes, as part of the application for the renewal of the green card, the I-90 application, you can apply for the fee waiver from USCIS. I'm pretty sure the form is called I-924, but let me double check. This is the USCIS official government website. Let's see if it is available on the very front page. No, it is not. So we're gonna go to all forms. And I do have the video on it. Let me just double check that it is really I-924, because I'm not good with numbers. Let's see. No matches. Okay, so I'll just type a fee waiver. So it is not 924. It is 912, actually. See, I'm definitely bad with numbers. I-912, so that is a request for fee waiver that you submit as a part of the application package together with the application that requires the fee that you're trying to get your fee waived. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there is a downside to filing the I-912, and the big downside is that if your main application, which in your case is I-90, is available to file online as part of to file them together in one application package, you will have to submit it in paper, which delays the process, adds additional layer of possibilities of making a mistake, adds additional back and forth, processing time, of course, already mentioned, delay. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to do that. And yes, so I-90 is available to file online as of right now. So yes, if you choose to file I-912 together with it and request the fee to be waived, which is currently, let's see, filing fee is, okay, we have to check the fee schedule. Let me check the fee schedule because I'm kind of curious to see how much the current fee is. Okay, so general filing. Oh yeah, so online filing is cheaper actually by $50, $415. If you have been reached your 14th birthday, it's a $0. If you're filing because we issued your previous card but you never received it, it's a $0. If you're filing because we issued the card with incorrect information, it's a $0. But for general filing, for everybody else, it is $415 online and $465 paper filing fee. So yes, as you can see, it's quite significant consideration. Do you want to save time? And potentially $50, because again, filing a fee waiver does not guarantee that the fee is going to be waived, because they can look at it, and I have seen cases where it's a clear cut that, yeah, this person should definitely qualify because they're experiencing financial hardship, they're receiving the public benefits, which is one of the requirements, and the fee waiver is still denied and they're charged. And if you are charged, you will be charged even more. You will be charged $50 more because you filed using them by mail. So something for you to keep in mind. I'm gonna post a response and I'm gonna give you the link for the 912. And if you do decide to file the I-912, I do have the video on this channel step by step on how to fill out that 912 and what you need to provide with it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Habiba Brohi 8171, do you know about hardship case? Habiba, thank you very much for your question. So as far as the hardship, I was just answering the question. Depending on what exactly you're referring to, every single application, they're gonna have different considerations for the hardship. Some of the applications are based on hardship. For example, asylum or TPS applications, they're based on hardship. Some of the applications, like for example, renewal of the green card, not necessarily based on hardship, but if you're experiencing a financial hardship, you can apply for the fee waiver, and if it is approved, you will save potentially quite significant amount of money. I mean, that's not a cheap application. Over $400, it's definitely not a cheap application. So let me post a response, and if you want, you can let me know a little bit more detail which case specifically you are referring to, and then I'll try to give you a little bit better, more elaborate answer. All right, let's move on to the next one from FC Hout I think it's F Choudhury 5727. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I am F4 category from Bangladesh. My priority date is 31st July 2007. According to the visa bulletin, I'm only 9 days away from being current. Hopefully I become current in next month's visa bulletin. All right, let's double check that. It sounds really good. You've been waiting for quite a long time, and I can personally relate because I do have a case in F4, which I still have another like 12 and a half, 13 years to wait according to the visa bulletin. But let's double check. So you're from Bangladesh. It is currently on 22nd July 2007, and you are on 31st July 2007. So yes, my friend, your calculations are 100% correct. And yeah, hopefully we do see the movement for F4 in the next visa bulletin. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please consider, because on this channel I do every month the new visa bulletin comes out. I do make a separate video on it and compare the movement to the previous months, so everyone who is paying attention to the visa bulletin, they can know exactly how much for their particular category, family preference category, there was movement compared to the previous months. All right, let's move on to the next question from Daphne. Hi sir, I was on volume 171 where I petitioned for my 18-year-old F2A in 2018. I became citizen in 2020. Lord, didn't upgrade my case. I found out 3 years later. Yes, Daphne, I remember. I posted my comment in October 2023. You advised me NVC upgrade to IR2. I get my welcome letter. They did change it to F2B, so they go from F2B to IR2. Thank you. Okay, Daphne, so if I remember correctly, I did not exactly tell you to upgrade it to IR2. I said that there's two possibilities. If it really depends on what the priority date is. Because if the priority date goes far enough, and if the application with the USCIS was pending long enough for your child to qualify under CSPA, and you became a naturalized US citizen, falling within that CSPA period of time, then yes, your child should be qualifying for the IR upgrade, and they should be upgraded to the IR. But if they aged out before you became a naturalized US citizen, then unfortunately the age is not frozen, and from F2A it will be changed to the F2B. So as I understand from your comment, they did update it to the F2B, and now I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if that's a question or not, so they go from F2B to IR2. Look at the receipt that you received from USCIS in response to the I-130. The date that is on that receipt, your priority date, write it down. Then look on the receipt, the notice of action that you received, the last from USCIS, saying that your I-130 petition was approved. Write down that date. Calculate the period between two dates, how long it is. And then on the date that you got your US citizenship, when you became naturalized, on that day, subtract that amount of time from your child's age. If they are under 21 on that date, that means they were still a child under CSPA. And if that is the case, then yes, I'm not sure if you're still working with your attorney, but if you are, then it's either them reaching out to NVC or you. What you can do is, through the public inquiry form, the way you contacted the NVC before, send them the original receipt from USCIS, and then send them that notice of action that the case was approved, and let them know, hey guys, look, this is the period. So for example, here I'll give you a numbers example. Let's say that your petition was pending for 1 year. All right, for 1 year before it was approved by USCIS. It was pending for 1 year with USCIS before it was approved. Let's say your child was 21 and a half years old when you became a US citizen. From that 21 and a half age, you can subtract 1 year. Under CSPA, it still brings your child under the age of 21, to be specific, 20 and a half. If that is the case, then yes, because you became a US citizen and your child was under CSPA, under 21, the age should have been frozen back then. So they should have stayed under the age of 21 for further processing with the NVC, and they should have been in immediate relative category. But if that's not the case, then yes, they will change it to the F2B, and unfortunately there's quite a lot more time to wait, unfortunately, under the F2B category. And the only really thing that you can do right now is just to pay attention to the visa bulletin and see what the movement is on it. But yes, you definitely, that's the important part. You need to figure out how long that petition was pending with USCIS, because it sounds like this is the determining factor. Unless you became a US citizen and your child was under 21 without even the CSPA. And if that's the case, then yeah, it's a clear case. They should have been in immediate relative category, and you need to submit the birth certificate. You need to submit again your naturalization certificate to NVC and say, hey guys, look, I became a US citizen before my child turned 21, So they should be in immediate relative category and not F2B. But definitely that's what you have to kind of work with. And I'm sorry you experienced this with your attorney, because it was supposed to be your attorney guiding you through this and explaining you all of this. All right, let me post a response and we're gonna move on to the next one from Sun and Stars. To Sun and Stars, thank you for another comment, appreciate that. I thought if you were bringing a spouse over, you did not have to deal with the backlog. You don't if the bringing spouse, the petitioner spouse, is a US citizen. If a petitioner spouse is a permanent resident, then unfortunately you are dealing with a backlog. You are in F2A category, and as I was mentioning earlier, it's about 2.5 years backlog right now in the F2A category. The good news is that F2A was current for a while, up until this whole pandemic shenanigans, messing up everything. But it is catching up. So I would say possibly in the next year and a half, we might see it coming back to being current again, if it moves as well as it was moving in the past, I would say 4 or 5 months. So yeah, all right, let me post a response and we're gonna move on to the next one from Manbrar9284. I filed petition F3 on September 12, 2010 from India. How long more waiting for welcome letter? How long for interviews? All right, let's take a look at the visa bulletin. So we're looking F3, chargeability area is India. So for the graph A, availability of the immigrant visa, looks like India is current with the rest of the world, which is definitely great news. So it is right now on March 2010. The priority dates that are becoming current as of June 2024 are in March 2010. And you are, all right, you're in September 2010. So you still have about September 2010, and we're in March 2010, and you're September 2010. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So about 6 more months before the availability of the immigrant visa. And you asked me for the welcome letter. I'm assuming that is from the NVC. You're referring to the welcome letter from NVC. So I'm assuming that you have not been documentarily qualified yet, and your NVC portal is not yet open. So let's see if the graph B is updated. Okay, it is updated, and it is on September 10. So 1st September 2010, and you're September 12, 2010. So literally you're like 11 days away. So hopefully in the next months. But honestly, judging by the graph A, because like I was mentioning earlier in this video, graph B heavily depends on the graph A. And sometimes when graph A updates, graph B doesn't update with it. And you have to give it a month or 2 months to reflect that movement on the graph A. So you are literally around the corner. You can expect your NVC welcome letter today, in a week, in 2 weeks, potentially in a month, but I think within a month you definitely should be receiving your NVC welcome letter, because you are so close to the availability of the immigrant visa. So for you right now, start heavily preparing for the documentary qualification process. I do have a video on this channel that describes the qualification process in a detail, where I'm showing the actual NVC portal that was documentarily qualified. And you can see which fees you need to pay, which applications you need to submit. It's 2 things. It's the DS-260 application for the immigrant visa and the affidavit of support, and then the documents that you need to provide in order to become documentarily qualified. So collect all of that as much as possible, prepare as much as possible, make sure that your petitioner is with the finances, they have their tax transcripts ready, they have their tax returns filed so that they can have the 2 most recent years with the tax transcript. Make sure that they do have enough income to qualify as a successful petitioner sponsor. And yeah, so that as soon as it opens up, you can submit it all, get documentarily qualified on the first shot, and then yeah, just wait for the interview. As far as your interview, depending on where you're from in the world, let's see, you're from India, so yeah, so India, I would because it has a separate chargeability area, because the immigration traffic is heavier from India compared to the rest of the world, I would expect the interview to get scheduled at least another year and a half after your immigrant visa becomes available. So there is still time for the interview, but you have a big step coming up, and that's the documentary qualification. So concentrate on that, prepare as much as possible. And yeah, you've been waiting for a very long time, and you're getting close. You're almost there. All right, let me post a response, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Nadine Parkinson. Nadine, thank you very much for another comment. As always, appreciate that. Hi, just want to let you know I received my son's interview date, and his date is 28th of this month. All right, in 2 weeks. He is in Jamaica. Remember I tell you I sent in an last week, Tuesday, and NVC approved my expedited request on Thursday. Nice. So you sent it on Tuesday and they approved it on Thursday. That just shows how fast they are with reviewing that stuff. Yeah, NVC is pretty good whenever it comes to responding to this kind of stuff. I'm genuinely impressed. And today, 13 NVC, so just yesterday, sent out my son date. So yes, for everyone, if you're wondering how long it takes whenever NVC approves the expedited request, that's how fast they are. If they do approve the expedited request, expedited processing, after the immigrant visa is available, after you're documentarily qualified, that's the only way you can get that done. They are very quick. They try to accommodate the person and schedule the interview as soon as possible and literally fit in the interview in between the slots just to get it going as soon as possible. So Nadine, congratulations on that. Hopefully your son's interview goes well, and once he gets his immigrant visa, please come back to this channel and let everyone know, because I'm sure everybody will be happy to hear. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. All right, let's move on to the next one from user. Looks like a couple of comments, multiple comments. So I'll start from the very first one. Hi, good evening. Georgina here. You don't answer mine. Georgina, I'm very sorry. As you can see, I do have a lot of comments, and sometimes it does take me more than a few of these volumes to get to certain comments that have been posted down the line. When NVC created your case in the system, you have to just wait. For the most part, it is, yeah. Unless you're paying attention to the visa bulletin and you know for a fact that there is some kind of delay. If there is some kind of delay and you know it for a fact, judging by the visa bulletin, then reach out to the NVC and let them know through the public inquiry form and say, hey, I wanted to follow up. What's going on? The visa bulletin shows me this and I'm still waiting. What's going on? But if everything looks legit and visa bulletin shows you that you still have some time to wait, then yeah, really, that's the only thing that you can do. And you are F1, your priority date is October 2019. So let's take a look at the visa bulletin. I'm gonna look at the graph A. So for the availability of the immigrant visa, so you are October 2019, we're looking at July 2015. So you still have about 4 years and July, August, September, October. So about 4 years and 3 months before the availability of the immigrant visa. And as far as, looks like the graph B is updated for the F1, it is September 2017 and you are October 2019. So you are looking at another roughly 2 years before your NVC portal opens up so that you can start your documentary qualification process. So as of right now, there's not much you can do, just waiting really. Give it another year. Pay attention to the visa bulletin. Make sure that, you know, you're checking out the dates. Every month the new visa bulletin comes up. And once you are about a year from your NVC portal opening up, then start preparing for the documentary qualification process, collecting all the documents, you know, putting the fees aside, because you do have some fees. I don't remember how. I think it's like $200 if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. It was a long time ago. I filled out the DS-260, and then at least $150 for the affidavit of support. In fact, you can look up these fees. I'm just telling them. So at least $300 total for the fees that you're paying as part of becoming documentarily qualified. Potentially more, because it's been a long time since I personally done it myself. So yeah, you can start doing that. There's a lot of documentation, tax transcripts, you know, the financial documents. So tax returns have to be filed by the petitioner. So these are some of the things that you can start doing to prepare for the documentary qualification. But, you know, again, you still have a little bit of time, so give it a little bit of time and to get closer. So let me post the response here, and I will just put the heart on this. And thank you very much, everyone, for sticking around, for watching the video. Hopefully you found my answer helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. If you have any, if I responded to your comment and something is not clear and you wanted to ask something else, don't respond to my comment within your comment. Submit it as a separate comment, because if you do respond to my comment in your comment, YouTube does not send me notifications for those for some reason. So submit it as a separate comment and it will appear here on this wall and I will be able to address it. So again, thank you very much everyone for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.